Joining me now to talk about Republican Senator from Wyoming, John Barrasso. Senator, thank you for being with us. In addition to what Mr. McCall said, it was also the method that was used here. Suicide bombers wearing vests, detonating them, which is consistent with past acts by ISIS. Does this appear to you to be the work of the Islamic State?
Well, it does to me. And this is a horrific attack in a string of horrific attacks. As a United States Senator, I'm very concerned about protection of the homeland. So there's significant fear and anxiety worldwide. But what we need to do here at home is to make sure that our military and that our intelligence community, as well as law enforcement, has all the tools that they need. But in addition to that, we need to go after ISIS where they are. They have a safe haven where they can direct, where they can influence, where they can inspire attacks like this and train others. ISIS is not going to self-destruct. They are resilient, they're formidable. We need to destroy them.
But the president has said that they're contained and they're on the defense, Senator. You don't believe him?
Well, the president has said that, and then it seems like the very next day, the director of the CIA came to Capitol Hill to tell a very different story. And the CIA director raised that again today of the threat that we are under because ISIS has a safe haven. They want attacks in the United States. You know, what ISIS's message is, hey, come fight with us in Syria or in Iraq, but if you can't, then stay where you are and kill there. So we have terrorists here in the United States who are in the process of kind of training themselves to do destructive acts. Terrorists who are working on improving their abilities to kill under the influence of ISIS. So I think the president has had no strategy over the last 2 years.
And why is that?
To go after ISIS.
I mean, Senator, why is that? Does he perhaps not understand the peril, or doesn't want to deal with it, or thinks that his strategy, if it really is a strategy, will properly deal with it? Which of those? Maybe all of them?
Well, I think the president from the beginning has underestimated the ability and the strength and the influence of ISIS. Remember, Greg, he called ISIS the JV team. He said, oh, we're just dealing with a JV team. These are hardened killers. They're inspiring others. And every time there is an attack like the one in Istanbul, that, I believe, influences others around the world to say, hey, that's the winning team. I want to be on that team. So then they are more likely to be drawn into this fight. So the president has not come up with a strategy. We've asked for one for the last 2 years, a strategy to defeat ISIS where they are. And in the meantime, ISIS, like a cancer, has metastasized. It's spread to other locations around the world. So just getting him in Syria and in Iraq is not going to be enough because they are spreading and they want to do more damage. So that's why what we saw in Istanbul, we saw in Paris, we see in Orlando, we see in California. All of those are reasons that ISIS is continuing to recruit, continuing to direct, continuing to influence, and the president has no strategy to deal with them in their safe haven where they train others to behave this way.
One can argue Donald Trump has no strategy either. He just broadly says we're going to go after militarily ISIS, but no specifics. Are you dissatisfied with what he said?
I'm dissatisfied with the commander-in-chief. We only have one commander-in-chief at a time. That's Barack Obama. He has failed in the last 2 years to come up with a strategy that I believe is taking a direct attack on the United States and the people of this country. And if Barack Obama had a strategy to have left even a stay-behind force in Iraq, ISIS wouldn't have been there in the first place.
No, Senator, I understand that, but before you cast a ballot in November, don't you want to know what the next commander-in-chief plans to do about the very same problem?
Well, I know that the next commander-in-chief is going to be much better at developing a strategy, and that ought to be Donald Trump.
All right.
In terms of what we need to do to deal with ISIS. I think that Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, has been so wrong on so many areas, whether it's the reset button with Russia, whether it has to do with what's happened in Syria, whether it has to do with Libya. Across the board, I think Hillary Clinton's policy has failed.
Senator John Barrasso, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Greg.